So we've gone through the first domain that deals mainly with administrative type of controls. And there's a lot of information you need to know. Administrative controls, technical controls, physical controls. You need to know what they are and examples. We talked about confidentiality, integrity, availability. Not only do you need to know what those are, but the types of controls that need to be put in place to provide them. You need to really understand a lot about risk management. That's why this is the largest portion of this domain, because risk management is really important on the exam and in the industry. So in risk management, we talked about figuring out the value of assets, which is not just the purchasing of them. We talked about qualitative versus quantitative. We went through in quantitative, which is numbers based. We looked at the formulas of how to calculate the SLE, which is asset value times exposure factor. We talked about how to calculate the ALE, which is SLE times ARO. ARO is the frequency. We went through cost-benefit analysis. We talked about total risk versus residual risk. Total risk is before you actually put a control in. Residual risk is afterwards. There's 4 ways of dealing with risk, which is mitigation, transferring, avoidance, and what else? We have mitigation, you transfer it, you avoid it, or you accept it. And it would accept the actual risk if the countermeasure actually costs more than your potential loss. We went through information classification, that you have to set up an actual program. The data owners do the classification of the data. The data custodians actually set up the systems, do the configuration. They fulfill what the data owner says. The amount of classifications, you shouldn't have too many or too little. We talked about employee issues of when you hire somebody, you're not just hiring a skill set, you're hiring a person, and so you need to do the background check, look at it at possible clearances, their education, their experience. Unfriendly termination, we talked about that we need to make sure that those accounts are disabled. So that's not all. That's not all that you need to know within this domain, but those are some of the key points that we covered that is definitely important for the CISSP exam and for your work in the industry.